Do we do psychological testing of all assailants before convicting them of the crime to see if we can reform them through putting them in a lockdown facility to keep others safe, but give them the mental help they need so they can be productive in society?
Okay, but if somebody runs over your foot, do you care why? Whether they did it because they're mentally ill or if they're just a bad person? Your foot's still crushed, right? So they still need to be held accountable for it one way or the other. I mean, do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. I think that the biggest thing is to look at the crime itself, and like the crime with their cases, it was reoccurring and escalating. So do we let that person be in a lockdown facility, or do we keep them locked up and give them the mental help that they need?
Okay, but you agree they shouldn't be on the street.
Correct.
Whether they're in a psychiatric facility that's a lockdown or a jail, does everybody agree this perpetrator should not have been on the street? Exactly. Everybody agrees with that. And maybe that person needed psychological help, psychiatric help, medication, whatever, but he should not have been on the street. Until you can say with some degree of certainty that he's not likely to reoffend. And I can tell you as a mental health professional, there are some people that you can never say that about. There are some people that they're just not going to comply. So, you know, anybody over here? Yes.
I think that, like, especially under sex and violent offenses, they should not be let out because there's a reason that they're in there.
You've had a family member that was let out.
Yeah, he was recently let out after 35 years in prison for violence, multiple violent offenses.
Should he have been?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like, there's no way. Nobody is safe when somebody like that is let out.
Okay, so he should, you say even your own family member should be.
Should not be out.
He should be locked up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And do you guys agree that there are some people that don't respond to treatment?
Yes, but it's a very small percentage. And what we have done is cast the net so widely that we're capturing millions of Americans in that net inappropriately. There's a reason no other country has the incarceration rate we do and the public safety failures that we do. It's because they're investing in real solutions to the problems. Our focus is entirely on punishment after the fact and not on prevention before the fact, preventing these women from even having to have that experience. If we had front-end mental health treatment that would have treated this man before he started randomly attacking people, if we had housed him and provided the services he needed to avoid a life of crime, we all would have been better for it. We're much better off preventing a crime from ever happening than trying to exact some punishment after the fact that does nothing, honestly, to restore the sense of safety or security for the victims of those crimes.
But that's a generational objective. That's not something that's going to fix and keep all of these people safe today.
We have to, of course, we have to bridge our way there, but we have to start. We talked about not having a plan under previous DAs in this county. People released from prison are released with $200, no housing, no job, no plan. There is no plan right now, we have to do better.
We have to have humanity and within the context of the criminal justice reform.
I get it.
Many of these patterns start in childhood. I spent 13 years in San Diego County's foster care system, lost both of my parents very early. I saw firsthand the impacts of my mother going through the criminal justice system and me even encountering the juvenile justice system. And we have to address childhood trauma. We have to address people at the root where they come from. And I think that's part of this reform attitude is that we have to get to the bottom of a lot of these behaviors. Yes, we have to address the crime right now that's happening on the streets. And we have to address that quickly because people are getting hurt and they shouldn't be. On the other hand, that this attitude comes from looking at the context of where some of these offenses are coming from. And we have to look at this system by case basis to look at who can turn their life around, who can have the opportunities to do this. But the blanket approach that those who have been leading the criminal justice system for some odd 30 plus years, those approaches have not worked either.
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.